But again, you have to take these things on a case-by-case basis. It's not as simple as on either end, and that's what you need a posek to understand these types of things. But again, this is what I'm saying, is that this person who converts reform, I don't consider them to be Jewish. I also don't consider the born Jew who is a heretic to be Jewish. They don't believe that the Torah is from heaven. They don't believe in God at all. No, you're not a Gentile, but you're not Jewish. Now, as far as this one, it's the halachic status of the Reform convert. We didn't even go to the mikvah. I would imagine if someone is converting in Israel with the Reform, probably they would have some kind of mikvah. But I read about Marilyn Monroe's conversion. I wouldn't, if she was alive, I wouldn't go say, "Oh, you're not Jewish." I don't, just like, you're polite to people who you believe are wrong. Just the same. It's like this preferred pronouns thing. You don't be rude to somebody if they have the preferred pronouns. Is it hate? Is it this? Is it that? Is it? I mean, but you don't be a jerk. You be a mensch, even if you don't believe in the ideology. You don't go out of your way to go and call somebody by a non-preferred pronoun. But on the other hand, I wouldn't, unless I'm absolutely compelled to do so, and I would try to stay away from any place I'm compelled to do this. I'm not going to put the parentheses with the he, him, his on any Twitter profiles or anything like that. That's just, to me, that's silly. And I know other people disagree, but I don't want to embrace that. I know a lot of people, they say, when you if you sit down with a Reform rabbi, you're approving of their ideology and so forth. I think this essentially is worse than that. But again, it's what I do. And the same thing. I'll call a Reform rabbi, even if by my religious standards, maybe he's not a rabbi, but I'll still call him rabbi to be polite. Just like I guess the Episcopalians, I think they use father in their certainly bishop, archbishop. Most Catholics I know, if they're talking to an Episcopal bishop, even though they don't believe them to be a bishop, will probably still be a mensch and call them bishop, right? Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but like the menschlich people, So, when it comes to these types of questions with the with the accepting the Reform conversions, I think I can say, by my religious standards, I do not recognize these conversions, but that should not be the job of the government. Particularly that you still have the established Rabbanut who will not recognize it, meaning the secular court should also not be able to force the Rabbanut to accept their conversions. They're just talking about for this particular issue. And if it means can't marry these people, can't marry these people, right? I mean, this is going to be a whole other issue. Is that all the Reform converts are going to have to get married in Cyprus, right? I mean, it's like that anyway. But is there going to be a big influx of people who are going to specifically convert Reform in Israel? Probably not. There's not that strong of a Reform movement in Israel that there's going to be a whole bunch of new Reform converts that converted in Israel, and then they want to get married, and they're going to get married in Cyprus because they can't get married in Israel, etc., etc., etc. But really, all this stuff shouldn't matter. Really, at least my opinion, and again, it's none of my business because I'm an American, but I'm an American ideologically too, and I think we got to be intellectually honest. Like, it really upsets me when you see Orthodox rabbis who are politically conservative and do not want to expect the same standards for Israel that they do for America. Me, I'm consistent across the board, except also it's none of my business what they do in Israel. But if you would ask my opinion, I would say do the American way. Again, it's not even a Satmar ideology as much as it's a Yeshayahu Lebovich ideology, of a general libertarian approach of saying, people can accept halachic lifestyle without it being shoved down their throat by the government. And a lot of people in Israel probably would be more religious if the Rabbanut wasn't forcing everything down their throat. But because they have this collectivist, socialist ideology, the statist ideology, and that the state matters more than the individual, which is pretty much every country except America, they're in that predicament that they're in. Whereas I'm thankful that at least for now, America is, I don't know how much longer it's going to last, considering the current regime, but at least the way that it's supposed to be, the way the Constitution is written, in its current form, it's how it's supposed to be. So I think it would be better this way. Freedom, liberty, that's the value of the individual. I think is a culmination, like I said, it's a realization of our eschatology that's rooted from the very beginning of our tradition, where we are taught that man was made in the image of God. And so, like, I'm very influenced by this idea that the most important minority is the minority of one, right? That's where we're holding. I gotta go. I've rambled on for 47 minutes. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. Hit the bell button. If you made it this far, you might as well. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all later. Have a good Shabbos.